All right. C&O and B&O switching instructions. All right. C&O and B&O and switching instructions for guidance of engine, train, and yard service employees effective August 1st, 1964. Okay. The purpose of these instructions is to serve as a helpful guide for those employees involved in any manner with the handling switching cars, either in the road or yard. Serve as the net cost for the C&O and B&O due the freight loss for the damage claim and made payments after salvage sales are credited at approximately $7 million a year, but this does not include the cost of investigation, processing claims, and cost of repair for the damaged railroad equipment. In addition to those heavy losses, we face a far more serious loss with the diversion business for the competing railroad routes to other modes for the transportation. Ship and receive of the shipments are frequently damaged will soon to be forced to seek other means of transportation product within order the safety of the customer's protection of the business. It be readily seen that the jobs for the sake of the matter of the damage freight will be impossible for our company to maintain with the present level of the employee with the traffic loss. Rough handling, especially practical practice allowing with the cars to couple the excessive rate of speed is for these major cause the damage for our customers' freight. The impact for the coupling excess of 4 miles an hour will cause the damage for the aiding of the car to the cars. The virtual if it is virtually impossible to package and block, brace, and otherwise protect landing in cars as to prevent damage from providing equipment strong enough to withstand the shock of the repeated overspeed impacts. It's recognized that ordinary handling of the freight equipment and switching movement speed of couplings will produce the same shock at the same time that possible for practical and necessary to completely control the speed of the engine car so the coupling and speed will be well below this maximum speed, safe speed of 4 miles an hour. At the end of the following switching instructions have been adopted with your guidance, the full sincere cooperation of all concerned are earnestly solicited. Alright, E.G. E.G. McDougally, General Superintendent of Transportation, Chesapeake, Ohio Railway, and G.S. Harris, Manager of Transportation, Baltimore, Ohio Railroad, approved. M.I. Dunn, Senior Vice President, Chesapeake, Ohio Railway. C.E. Jackman, Chief Operating Officer, Baltimore, Ohio Railroad. All right, one, planning work. One, to expedite switching for the conductor job with the foreman, with the members of the crew, including the engineer, with the practical, fully informed of the switching movements to be made, as many movements according with the practical, thereby giving them an opportunity to be prepared for such movements. The other members of the crew have been informed the sequence of switching movements to be made, but the change that should not be made unless they are concerned and have been fully informed of the change of the conditions. Switching instruction hand signals. Proper hand signals due to the connection with the switching movement is extremely important to prevent the damage of the track equipment. Lading of the handle signal given to the Spanish man for the signal is not understood from such place for the created doubt whether whom the signal is intended should be regarded as a stop signal. Violent hand signals will be not accepted will not be used except in an emergency. Use the hand signal to crew and the energies, especially those yard services as number of the manufactured hand signals not provided for this in the book of the rules, which they use the governor unusual specific movements. Such homemade signals are usually given by old he had employees who thoroughly understand their meaning of the meanings of each such signals vary only differently are. Therefore, employees not familiar with the local use of them never attempt to give an act or upon such signals. 4. Reduce speed signals to prevent the overspeed impact with the coupling when the practical to reduce speed, but the speed steady signal should be given sufficiently to advance over the stop of the signal. Permit the engineer to adjust the slack and control the coupling speed and stop short of obstruction. Relaying hand signals. When necessary, hand signals be relayed with the engineer and another member of the crew. The greatest care must be used to communicate with signals properly with a distinct, understandable manner. Kick signals. Whenever given the signal with a kick of the cars into a track, the considerable must give it the amount of the track with available, but also ascending descending grade with the track. When kicking cars in an occupied track, it must be known that sufficient hand brakes are set out and standing to prevent them from being knocked out of foul other tracks over the end of the track. Flat yard switching. While performing flat yard switching in the frequently necessary kick cars down the switch lead, routing the cars in various yard track, which is done with several cars moving the free with the down with the lead of the time, down the lead at the same time to prevent damage to the landing of the equipment. The slide swiping with the concerning with the cars to responsibly employ handling lead switching that known the preceding cars will roll clear with the leading before lining the switch with the following cars routed another track. When practical signs should be given allowing the sufficient distance, engineer control slack at the starting and stopping cars to avoid making reverse movement account with the moving beyond with the switch to be used. Experience on the yard developed. Some of the cars will roll freely over one of the switch with another switch with maybe they tend to regard movement of the car moving at the same speed. Heavily loaded cars may roll through a switch more easily than an empty car. Therefore, considering such should be given to the type of equipment being switched. Many yard tracks have slight descending grade toward the lead, causing cars kicked into such tracks to roll back into the lead. Employees should acquaint themselves with the physical characteristics of the yard and be alert with the conditions that each should be possible to roll back on the track. Handbrakes should be applied to ensure that the cars will stand secure. Side of the cut. Considering that most of the given must be given with the physical characteristics of the track grade, weather, and view to determine the number of the cars to be handled in the switching operation. Cut to be switched should never be exceed the number of the cars that can be safely handled. Coupling. When couplings are to be made, particularly with the turnout and curves, extreme care must be exercised to see that the coupler is properly positioned to prevent damage due to the slip by the coupler of the couplers, especially true for the car with the cushioning coupler if there are other cars equipped with the long drawbars. The doubling from one track to another, the coupling portion of the train consideration must be given the weight and the number of the cars being handled with the coupling made at the lowest possible speed to prevent buckling of the train. Special equipment. 10. Extreme care must be used with the switching for special equipment of the cars containing provided with the rotating switching machinery. Flat switching such cars must be shoved to the rest in the track. Other cars of equipment must not be kicked into the tracks to couple such cars. Alright, handling of the cars carrying fragile commodities, etc. Except for the cars equipped with adequate retarders that covered with a specific or special instructions shoved the ride to the rest of the car containing the following commodities. Newsprint, livestock, eggs, multiple loads, plate glass, empty even in tin cans, steel coiled, coiled or flat. High value shipment, electronic equipment, airplane parts, jet engines, atomic reactors, etc. Poles on flat cars, pipe loaded open to the top of the equipment. Tractors, machinery vehicles loaded on top of the equipment on their own wheels. Loaded auto rack cars. Loaded piggyback cars. No car moving under this one movement should be allowed to strike the car listed above. No car moving under its own momentum should be allowed to strike the cars listed above. Alright, handling with the cars carrying Bureau of Explosive Flat Cars, etc. 12. Flat cars containing explosive, flammable, poisonous, gas, or other dangerous articles must be handled with extreme care in accordance with the Bureau of Explosive Posters instruction, which are posted in all yards official with the caboose necessary for the flat car must be shoved with the rest of other cars. The equipment not be kicked but dropped into the track occupied by those cars unless the proper safeguards are taken to prevent other cars such equipment by striking the placard. Handling engine. 13. Good judgment must be used for the handling of the engine switching operation, given the consideration number of the cars being handled as to whether the slack is stretch or bunch zone to prevent the impacts due to the slack action. Controlling the movement, used for the engine brake of the brake should be applied gradually until the slack is properly adjusted and the cut of the car is being handled. When the coupling of the top is to be made, it will be necessary to apply the brake cylinder pressure sufficient to cover the sliding of the engine wheel. The practice for the jerking of the cutting to get it is to start with the fully applicable engine brake to stop the cut before the slack is adjusted and necessary with the ordinary flat switching. Observance of the rules. 14. The switching instructions contained herein are the guidance for the train, engine, yard service employees. Supplementary, the book of operation rules and special instructions do not relieve the employees from full compliance therewith. Alright, this is compliance with operating rules, pays, dividends, cars should all times be handled or switched in such a manner that the freight cars of the equipped will not be damaged. And then we'll zoom in on that. Alright, it says cars coupled at miles per hour. Safe 1, impact force 1. 2 cars coupled with the impact of force, force 4. Say coupled miles an hour, cars coupled in miles per hour, 3 miles an hour, impact 9. 4 miles per hour, cars coupled in 4 miles an hour, impact 16. Damaging, 5 miles an hour, 25 impact force. 6 cars miles per hour, 36 impact force. 8 cars coupled at 8 miles an hour, 64 impact force. 9 miles an hour, 81 miles per impact force. 10 miles an hour, 100 car impact force. And that completes the reading of C&O and B&O switching instruction for the guidance for the engine, train, and yard service employees.